Sometimes, in order to get the desired result, you need somebody to come along and shake things up a bit. It works for masturbation, and it worked for the comic book industry, who has seen its entire perception remixed, distilled, and even reset all in the space of 1 or 2 panels. Not all of these shifts have been positive, might I add. I mean, look at the fairly recent Captain Hydra America as an example of that. But it definitely stirred fans into a frenzy. So let's take a look at some of the most influential, that for better or worse, changed the landscape of comic book series, characters, and universes. With this in mind, I'm Jules from WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 incredible comic book panels that changed everything. Number 10. The death of Captain America. Well, speaking of Cap, let's kick off the list with his death in 2007. Drawing the Civil War storyline to a close, Steve Rogers bit the big one. The impact was felt not only through the comic book world, with the scribe behind the events receiving death threats, but Fox News also went into meltdown over the image of a bloodied Steve and Sharon Carter. They claimed that it drew too many echoes to the JFK assassination to be tasteful, and while they might be grasping at more than a few straws, it's a powerful image of the American dream turning sour. Number 9. Hellboy enters the scene. The release of Mike Mignola's Hellboy marks one of the formative events in comic book horror, and yet its place in history is often overlooked. Since the character's debut in 1993, Hellboy has managed to make a remarkable impact both on and off the page. The perfect thing about the Mignola-verse, however, is that it not only is one of the most accessible comic book series out there, seriously, that shit is addictive, it's also incredibly atmospheric too. The mastery with which Mignola and other Dark Horse alum command myth, legend, and gothic literature in the medium really is special. And while the actual first image of Hellboy isn't all that striking, it's what this represented to the industry that makes it so powerful. Number 8. Daredevil rises from the ashes. Daredevil Born Again is a fantastic comic, something that provided a real sense of humility and humanity to Matt Murdock's character. Having lost everything through the vengeful acts of the Kingpin, Matt is beaten and broken to the point of no return. The art of the comic is fascinatingly beautiful, mixing heavy Catholic imagery with a hard pen style, creating a shockingly engaging tragedy. Yet nothing is more powerful than this image of Daredevil rising from the ashes of his burnt-out diner, complete in the suit and finally ready to assume his life of fighting crime once more. It's a true moment of clarity and rebirth for the character, who quite literally had to come from hell and back to rebuild his life. Number 7. Spidey overcomes the odds. In The Amazing Spider-Man number 33, Aunt May is close to meeting death's door, despite having looked that way for about 50 years already, and the only thing that can save her is a serum lying just out of Spidey's reach. With the wall crawler having been trapped by literally tons of steel, Pete now resigns himself to failure, as no matter how hard he tries, he can't lift any of the debris on his back. The tension and subsequent reward of him shifting this weight makes for some of the most genuinely yeah moments in comic book history. It was so good, in fact, that they recreated the same feel in Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 6. None of You Are Safe. For those of you not in the know, Batman Year One was Frank Miller's attempt to rebuild the Dark Knight from the ground up and provide a modern origin for an established canon. And you can't have any redone origin story without a shot of the newly formed Bats introducing himself to the criminals of Gotham. Having blown open a wall at a private banquet, Bats cuts the lights and proclaims, with all due intent, that from this moment on, none of them are safe. You're goddamn welcome, I guess. It's a panel that provided a proper update for the Dark Knight's origins and a defining moment for the character's history. Number 5. My Ward is a Junkie. While the previous entry was about building a character, this one is all about destroying one. The moment that Oliver Queen finds his sidekick Roy to be shooting up heroin is a monumental shift in comic book tone. This blew apart the watershed of comics and opened them up to darker storylines and themes. Now, this isn't the first comic to toy with mature tones, as Spider-Man at this point was also dealing with a drug storyline, but this image of Ollie bursting in is one that will forever be at the front of the time when comic books found out they weren't just for kids anymore. Number 4. Superman saves a life. There are few moments out there that can define a character in such a short space of time, but this particular one, found within the pages of Grant Morrison's seminal all-star Superman, is certainly one of them. Everything about this book just exemplifies what the last son of Krypton should be. Kind, warm, powerful, all elements that have made the character what he is over the years. Even when the world is in chaos, he does everything in his power to help everyone, including a young girl named Reagan. Stood on a ledge, Reagan looks as though she's about to commit suicide, but Superman literally drops everything and rushes to her. Despite having other matters at hand, he stops and hugs her. It's that image of reassurance which shows without any need for words what Superman is. And what he is a hero. Number 3. The death of Elektra. In Daredevil number 181, Elektra was fatally stabbed with her own sai by Bullseye, who until that point at least was considered to be something of a gag character. It was a shock move at the time, and her death was incredibly visceral, with it lasting an entire page of the issue. The image of the character being stabbed and then stumbling to the floor is awful, and while she would return later, it was a death that haunted fans and the industry alike for years after. Number 2. Dr. Banner exposed to some gamma. The Incredible Hulk has been a mainstay of Marvel ever since he was penned into existence, being both enemy and ally to all those around him and providing a living homage to the ideals of repression, anger, and violence. Yet not many people talk about those first few panels that actually birthed him. The greens, the yellows, and the narration itself in this panel that sees Bruce turn into the Hulk might not be everyone's first pick for a groundbreaking image, but what it really sells is that while he is indeed a comic book hero, his origins were that fitting of a horror tale. And number 1, Batman gets the last laugh. The Killing Joke is, put simply, one of the finest Batman tales ever to exist. It's a painful goodbye to one of comic books' best pairings, the Joker and the Batman, and many would argue that it's down to its ending. Well, truth be told, it's actually about the writing up until this point as well, but you can't deny that the final images of this one-shot are anything other than powerful. The ambiguity of whether Batman actually kills the Clown Prince of Crime, coupled with the beautifully laid out series of panels, creates a truly iconic impression and shows that whatever the outcome, Batman has changed. Batman has broken.
Next up, we are straight back to Shadow Picard for another scene in which it's incredibly important to me that nothing bad ever happens to Lara
YouTube. The unexpected frontier. These are the videos of whatculture.com. Its continuing mission to list strange new facts, seek out news and offbeat discoveries, to boldly go where no What Culture channel has gone before.
Hey, how would you guys like to start a Star Trek channel?
Hell yeah! No, sorry, how's he got a uniform? I've been asking for one for months now, and I'm
Spider money, I'd be sipping jippers on the beach somewhere.
Hell yeah!
Is he even cold?
Hell yeah!
If I had any money, I'd be sipping jippers on the beach
Months I've been
somewhere.
asking for one.
Hell yeah!
If I had any money, I'd be sipping jippers on the beach somewhere.
Hell yeah!
If I had any money, I'd be sipping jippers on the beach somewhere.
Hell yeah!
If I had any money, I'd be sipping jippers on the beach somewhere.
Hell yeah!
If I had any money, I'd be sipping...
Hi, I'm Marcus Bronzy, new presenter for Trek Culture, What Culture's new home for all things Star Trek related. Now, we've already got a bunch of great content like Adam Cleary's ups and downs for every new episode of Picard, and we'll of course have all of the lists and rankings that you know and love us for. I've been Captain Marcus Bronzy. Until next time, Kapla!